Welcome to Ken's Korner Podcast, Season 4.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. It is 2025, and I'm here with Joe Moyer on Sports Timeout right here on Ken's Korner Podcast. We're going to have a great 2025. I'm feeling it right now. I know Joe's a little tired. He's a little run down from his holiday. Cheers. Joe, how are you doing today?
Well, Happy New Year to you as well, Ken, and to all our listeners and viewers out there, all our usual folks, Andy and Loretta and Diane, my mom, and everybody. Happy New Year, and thanks for listening to us. We're pretty excited. It's a little, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit down. It's post World Juniors disappointment, and maybe we can talk about that. I'd like to hear your take on that a little bit. But yeah, other than that, it's the dog days of winter. We're heading into the Four Nations tournament, and we'll have lots to talk about there. And our boys are holding their own. So
Yeah. So let's start first off. You called it Auston Matthews. He is on the injury reserve, and there's rumblings that he's going to be long term. What's your feelings on this incoming news, Joe?
the Leafs it's so mysterious, trying because you hear them, and they say we're not concerned, and he's getting better. And then you hear Austin, and he says, "Yeah, I think there's some improvement." And then you hear rumblings in the background that there's something serious going on. That if he doesn't get it fixed sooner rather than later, it's going to be a problem. So I don't know. This is a weird one, but let's talk about the Four Nations. Like I'm telling you right now, if I'm the Leaf management, you're not going for Team USA. I'm sorry, you're a $13 million asset that we need come playoff time. And I don't care if you need to take the rest of the season off and come back. Other teams have done it, ready
Well,
for the playoffs.
here's the thing: they could make subtle hints, but it is centered at Auston Matthews and his call on whether he misses this tournament. But at this point, how can he actually be ready for next month?
Well, if he's not 100% and playing well for us, I don't know how he could say, but I'll go play for USA. So I think that's still to be determined for sure. There's a lot of mystery under there. I get the secrecy. They're a star asset. Very disappointing because captain, you want him to come out and have a great. I thought he'd be a 50 goal scorer minimum this year. I think we talked about that with the boys at the beginning of the season. Disappointing. It is what it is, but he's a young guy. Let's get a handle on this now, whatever it takes. And if it's surgery and it ends the season, man, wouldn't that be just tragic?
Mm-hmm. You know, it could still turn around as a Las Vegas, Tampa Bay kind of idea where Auston Matthews returns for that first game come playoff time, like Kucherov did. Some people say, well, you're out that long. How do you expect to come back and play so well? Well, it worked out for Tampa Bay. It worked out for Las Vegas and Mark Stone coming back now, didn't it?
And the
So
cap space doesn't hurt either if you want to pick up a couple of things to get you there. And then, uh, listen, I want to talk about the guys that are stepping up in his absence. What's your take on Mitch Marner and how he's got to be? What's his mindset right now? I mean, arguably he's been our best forward all season. I think there's no question about that. As far as just when we really needed him, he stepped up. He's had the very rare off game. He's looking for a big contract. What do you think's going through his mind that Austin's out of the lineup?
you know what? It's almost becoming what I think I've mentioned him before. Maybe here last our last episode, sports, Leafs, Jays, Raptors on TikTok. He had a question come across him. Would Mitch Marner, in fact, be more beloved as a Leaf player than Auston Matthews by the end of his career? This
Wow.
year, you would really question that, wouldn't you?
It's amazing what a difference 6 months could make because at the end of last season he was the GOAT, and I don't mean the greatest of all time. He wore the horns because of his lack of production again in the playoffs, and it was a rough summer for him. He took quite a pounding in the media and through the fan base. And now this year he's come out. He's a 100-point player. He's a dynamic player. Henny Hendricks said it. You don't get players like that come along. You don't want to lose him. And it makes you think that he's got something to prove and that he's saying, you know what, you may not have Auston Matthews, and I know they're good friends and all that kind of stuff, but you've got me, and I'm going to do what I can to be the best player on this team. And I think next to Tavares and our goaltending, I think he has been.
Yeah, you know what? I love that saying from Mr. Hendrick. I'm glad you brought that up. Don't throw the baby out in the bathwater. Makes a lot of sense. Now, I think Mitch Marner has a lot to prove this season, as did John Tavares, having that captaincy take off him, only to actually act as the captain for a better part of the season. Really, he's been our leader. He's got 19 goals. He didn't score his 19th goal until March last year, Joe.
Oh, I've got to tell you, I've got so much respect for that man. Last year, I was kind of saying, all right, he's a step slower. Maybe let's get out of this year. I'm telling you, he has made a believer out of me. He is a class act to how he handled the captaincy and what he did there. And I think it's made him a better player because he's come back focused. He's come back energized. He's on a mission. I mean, he also wants a contract. We've talked a lot about that. So I've got to tell you, I've got all the time in the world for John Tavares. He's made a believer out of me, and that guy is something else. I know his regimen is second to none as far as his diet, his workout. He's very, very clean lifestyle. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best Leafs of all time as well when all is said and done.
Definitely. And you know what? It could happen sooner rather than later because apparently John's still ready to take a $5.5 million contract over a 3-year period. And I say, you know what? Let's just give it to this guy. Let him finish as one of the greatest of all time. And hopefully he's here when we bring the Stanley Cup to Toronto.
He's the kind of guy that I think no matter what happens here, I think he's going to have a long career here in management or something. He's going to be a Leaf for a very, very long time and in the front office somewhere. I think that's his future. But man, oh man, he has impressed me just with his point of game play and his tenacity, and he still has his moments. Every player does, Willie. But he has proven to me that he is a leader beyond leader, and I think he's destined for good things in this organization, no matter cup or not. Even in management, I think he's got a future here.
Yeah. You know, I have to talk about this because, like you said, you mentioned Nylander, Tavares with that big giveaway to, and Joseph Woll bailing him out. I'm sure you watched the game and the intermission and listened to the guys. The giveaways are they not killing us? I know I'm screaming at the TV. My glass is getting a little less half full. Although we keep pulling it off somewhere out there, there's
And it's called gold.
or a
It's called
Bobby
goaltending.
McMahon or a Max Domi or a Pacioretty that comes through for us. Your
Well, and
feelings on this?
goaltending. Joseph Woll stood in his head and has stood in his head the last couple of games. If it wasn't for the goaltending, Joseph Woll made so many point blank saves against the Islanders this week. I lost count. He is everything and then some. I was worried in that game where he had kind of had that little bit of a groin thing in Toronto. He made a save and got up awkward, and I thought, oh no, if we lose him, now we're at Hildeby and Murray, and we're right back to last year, basically, as far as I was concerned. No disrespect to Hildeby. Murray, I'm not sold on. You and I chatted about it, I think, that day, going, man, do you have confidence in Murray? I really don't. But anyway, and going down a path here, but he's come back. He's playing back-to-back games, and he's going to probably play again tonight in Boston, or against Boston in Toronto. Sorry, which means that's 3 in a row for him, which is really good news. But man, he's looked everything we've needed. So goaltending carries you a long way, and
Yeah.
that's why we're in the spot we're in.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if we're confident in Matt Murray. It does matter if Brad Treliving and Craig Berube and staff are confident in him. And by the way it looks, Matt Murray is sitting down on the Marlies squad. So I don't see the confidence fully there. But enough confidence to not give up the asset by bringing him up and then having him get picked off waivers because I don't think he'll cross through. I do want to speak about Dakota Mermis. He's back. The reason behind our waiver wire pickup of Mermis was Utah had taken him from us, so we were the only team, in fact, that could assign him to our minor league team. So Dakota Mermis back in Toronto to play for the Marlies.
So if another team picked him up, he'd have to make the regular roster,
He
right?
would have to go on, yeah. He
Yeah.
would have to be on the roster.
A depth move for the Marlies. Nothing wrong with that. I know he was well liked when he was here. It's just depth, and depth is what carries you in the playoffs because there's going to be injuries. I mean, look at the Leafs; they've had so many injuries this year. So I mean, depth. That's one of the things that I don't think we did very well under the former regime, and I think Brad Treliving recognized. You know, the well was pretty dry here. When you lose two or three players, which happens, you're going to guys that really aren't ready. And I think he's a Mervis is 30 years old. He's been around, a big player, so he can handle himself if he had to come up. Philip Myers, another depth piece, was signed as well this week. So maybe you want to talk about what he got.
He got a 2-year, 875,000 a year. You know what? That's a great depth pickup. Signed him. There is a few other guys that are rumored to be close to signing. I haven't heard much about Matthew Knies of late, but I wouldn't be surprised there. I've
He's
heard
in for a payday, isn't he?
yeah, on Steve Lawrence, and you know what?
Yeah.
It might be better to jump on a John Tavares sooner rather than later if he comes off and scores another 18 goals and gets in that 40 goal range.
Yeah.
That contract might look a little larger.
Yeah, and knowing Tavares, he'd put the team first, and he'd be the one guy that I would say at this stage of his career would go, you know what, I'll take a couple million less just to play for. I don't want to relocate my family and move and start over again. I want to retire as a Leaf. I'm sure that's what he wants to do, and I'm sure
That
he
is the
knows.
feeling around the world.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows he's got a future in the organization in some respect. So good on him. But I want to talk about one player that's concerning me.
Okay.
Morgan Riley. I'm just not liking his game. They keep trying to say they need to find a player that can play with him, and they've tried different concoctions. It's not worked. Um, I've watched Morgan Riley play. I'm not wowed by him.
Did
Um,
you catch the take from Nick and Jay Rosehill?
no,
Nick Albera and Jay Rosehill off the Leaf Nation.
nope.
They proposed a trade one-on-one straight up. Morgan Riley heading back to Vancouver, home for JT Miller.
Gone, done. Do it. Sign it. I do it
Would
right now.
Vancouver do that?
Well, I know there. Let's talk about Vancouver. That's a soap opera going on over there between Peterson and Miller, and all the hype about how they don't get along, and there's a rift and all this stuff. Whether it's true, I know there's probably a little bit of truth to it. Vancouver hasn't done a great job of quashing those rumors. The players have come out and said, "Oh no, everything's fine. It happens in every team. I get it, but something's wrong with Van. I mean, they just lost their goalie this week. Demko's now out again. That hurts them. They're a team that I think, if it wasn't for the internal whatever nonsense is going on there, it should be better, and they're not. So that's actually really interesting. I would make that move, and maybe Riley needs a change. And I know his family is from there, and I believe his wife is from there, and they've got roots there. I would do it. I think nothing against Morgan Riley. I just don't think he's the be all and end all. And he might welcome a change of scenery to be close to home. I don't know.
And what would we do to replace Riley? Would we not have to make a substantial move after the fact? A next move to replace Riley? Would we not have to do that?
Well, we've got a lot of defense. I mean, let's talk about Yanni Hakanpää. I mean, have we heard anything about this guy? And he's supposed to play in the Four Nations tournament. I don't know. I know he's skating. I don't know if this was a real first class bonehead move by Leaf management to sign this guy. I don't know what's going on there. It's been very, very quiet. I mean, he played what, one or two games with us, and then that was it. He was tweaked something again. And so I don't know if Hakanpää if they're keeping him under wraps till the playoffs. I don't know. Um, I would if Hakanpää is healthy and ready to go, then that's an option. I mean, Riley's not providing a lot of a couple of assists here and there, but he's not scoring. Are we going to miss his offense that much? I mean, our defense as a whole, the way it's structured, isn't a scoring defense. They're just not. But Morgan Riley just cannot shoot the puck. I'm sorry. He has no slap shot from the point. Even a couple of times this week, I watched him try to put pucks through wrist shot, and it just bounced off shin pads and gets in, behind him, and now he's backtracking. So I don't
So
know.
you're saying you make a save off him?
I don't know about that,
But
but I would say that if there's a chance to get JT Miller and you can find another depth defenseman out there,
is
give it a
that
shot.
Luke Shen?
Oh, you're speaking my language. Well, Luke Shen and him, I think Riley played the best with Luke Shen on his wing for that little short time in the playoffs. I'd love to have Luke Shen back. That's exactly what we would need.
There,
But
as far as Vancouver goes, I want to add that JT Miller's not for sure condemned as a man out. Pedersen is also being spoke of, and there is a rumor about Pedersen heading to Buffalo for one of their top two defensemen there. That Buffalo apparently wants to shake it up, either Dahlin or Owen Power heading the other way.
oh my gosh, that's crazy. That if I feel sorry for Pedersen if he ends up in Buffalo, because that's a whole dumpster fire in itself there. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it's going to be interesting come trade deadline. I don't think too much is going to happen till after the Four Nations Cup in February. I think we'll see a lot of action once the teams return back, getting ready for the playoffs. So we'll have to see, and it depends on health too. But there's something not right in Vancouver, and I think they've got to move one of those guys.
Yeah, honestly, Calgary's looking like the Cinderella team this year.
Great goaltending. There you
Yeah,
go.
having Dustin Wolf and Vladar playing very well there,
Yes. Yep.
as well as some of their guys that have come around, like Carano. Um,
The Los Angeles Kings are on fire. I mean, someone in the Pacific Division, someone's going to miss the playoffs. That's a really good team. It's just
but
that's
Los
what's going to
Angeles is
happen.
probably going to end up head on with Edmonton yet again.
Again,
And
I
how's
know,
that going to
again.
work for them?
And I'm telling you, I'm liking Los Angeles more I see them. They are playing some great hockey right now.
I want to talk about another rumor that's been hitting the wires. I'm sure you've heard Jonathan Tace. He is working out and apparently back in playing shape.
Please, no.
I'm
No.
not sure, but Toronto is named as one of them.
Oh,
Winnipeg is a more likely destination because of his roots in Winnipeg. What do you think about Jonathan Tace?
no. The pressure cooker in Toronto would be too much for him because if he didn't have a good comeback, he'd wear it. We don't need anybody trying to resurrect their career. We're done. We got to stop that, right? We've done that far too often. The list goes on and on of guys we picked up at the end of their career. Um, that just Joe Thornton and Marlowe and all these guys that have had their best years behind them. I don't think we need that right now. Yes, he's a great, smart player. He may not be as fast. He knows where to go, knows where to be on the ice. A lot of experience, but we've got that. We've got guys that should be there by now with Pacioretty and Tavares, and I even say Marner, Matthews, and Nylander. Those are experienced guys. This isn't their first rodeo. They've been around, 9 years, so they know what to do and what they need to do. So I'm fine taking a flyer on Taves. If Winnipeg gets him, that'd be a great. Imagine having him as your fourth line center. Wow, that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to give me him and take David Camp off our hands and Pontus Holmberg,
Well,
you might
there's
have me
there there
interested.
is there is speculations right there. Jonathan Tays will come in around $1 million.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you had Jonathan Taves or David Camp or Pontus Holmberg as a forward, what would your? I
Well,
guess.
it's pretty obvious which name you're going to choose, right? Um,
Yeah.
I do want to make we're going to talk about Team Canada here real quick,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about that disallowed goal. Those Islander fans were getting pretty raucous in that crowd when that goal got called back late in the game with the net empty on the other end.
Is that the one where they took a swipe at the pads and it went in?
Andrews Lee after the whistle.
Listen, in my day, as soon as the whistle went, no matter what, it didn't matter. Even if it was obvious, there's no goal. So to me, it was no goal. He had the puck. He swiped at it. I think the whistle went after he hit it, but the puck hadn't crossed the line. The bottom line is, in my day, once the whistle goes, If that's the referee's error and it ends up going in, nothing counts after the whistle.
Yeah, I
Bottom
agree.
line. I
And
know
you know
that's
what?
changed a bit, but
I don't even think he hit the puck. I think he hit his pad.
the pad and pushed it in. Yeah.
So
No, I have
I
no
don't see
issue. I
how
have no
that's
issue with
fair.
that
If he
rule.
got a piece of the puck,
No.
I maybe could see a continuance, but that didn't make any sense. To me, it was all
No.
bad.
And over the years, I don't know how many times I watched hockey and the puck was loose. The referee lost sight of it, blew it, and then it was loose and went in. No goal because he blew the whistle. It was frustrating because you're like, just because you're standing behind him and you didn't see the puck in front of him, you blew the whistle, which is what they're trained to do. And it's no goal when it really, in the spirit of the play, should have been a goal. So it's a dicey one, but that one I have no issue with. It was in his pad. You took a whack at it. The pad pushed it in. It was definitely crossed the line after the whistle. That one I have no issue with.
Awesome. Predictions on these games this weekend, real quick, before we switch.
Oh boy, the big bad Boston Bruins again. We got to beat Boston. We got to dust them off. I think we're going to take Boston. It's going to be a close one, 3-2. I don't think it's going to be a shootout, but Boston always gives us what for. But we're in our home barn, and you know what though? Saturday nights, it's not, if you look at our stats on Saturday nights, we're not doing that great. Because I know, because I get all ready and
But we
sit
are
down
the number one team at home this year.
at home. But there's been a few away games on Saturday nights where the Leafs have just not shown up. So
But we
that
are home this week.
that and afternoon games, the Leafs are not their strong suit.
No,
So
that's not our strong suit at
no,
all.
no.
But you know what? I'm going to go with an empty netter on top of that and say 4-2. The Leafs got to beat Philadelphia. They are beating teams more often now that they should beat. And Philadelphia is another team that they should beat.
I think they got a doubleheader against Philadelphia next week. So
They
they're
do
playing them.
Sunday and
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So that's a team that could be, the Leafs, the old Leafs. I'm going to say the old Leafs. That's a team that's a game that you go, oh man, they'd come up and find a way to beat us. But listen, the only team I'm really worried about is the Ottawa Senators. We can't beat them. We haven't beat them this year, and they are up and coming. They're going to make the playoffs. That team is getting better. So we got to figure out a way to dust those guys off as well
Yeah.
because they're going to be our nemesis.
And let's hope Hildeby plays a good game for us come Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. If it's Hildeby, they may do the old Matt Murray. I think it's going to be Matt Murray, to be honest with you, but we'll see.
I think Hildeby is going to be in the net. I think
Okay.
I have spoke about that switch coming in again. Sorry, but I think Hildeby might get that start.
Okay, we'll see. I wouldn't mind seeing him get another start over Murray.
5-3 Leafs.
Okay. Well, I love your glass half full. It's awesome.
All right, let's talk about Team Canada. We probably got about 10 minutes. I'm just going to let you go.
I watched the first few games and I could see right away that's not the Team Canada that I knew. They weren't physical. When they were physical, they were stupidly physical with dumb penalties. Discipline was the massive issue. I don't think, as much as the refereeing in the game against Latvia was questionable, it didn't cost them. They didn't adjust to the refereeing. They didn't realize this is how they're going to call things. You don't take a kneeing penalty, then get another one and another. Like it just. So it starts with the selection of players. I didn't like it. I think there's a lot of high scores that they didn't pick that they should have. And I wasn't impressed with the coaching. I'm not going to lie. I think the coaching had something to be desired, and they didn't make the adjustments on the fly. I don't think you can fault our goaltending, although Carter George is going to relive that last goal. Got in on the short side of them for sure, but you certainly can't blame him. They weren't scoring. And undisciplined penalties, I watched them play, and stupid, absolutely ridiculous penalties that they didn't need to take. Easton Cowan, I'm sorry, but that second last game, he should hang his head in shame the way he played that game, as far as I'm concerned. I hope they learn from their mistakes. I know there's a lot of pressure. They're playing in front of 18,000 people instead of 1,800. I get that, but Canada needs to look at what they're doing and figure out a way to not go into a tournament again like that, thinking they're all this and they're all that, which they do, and then they end up playing these teams that are hungry. Latvia, I wanted Latvia to win so bad against Sweden. It was 3-2. Their goalie had 50 shots, stood in his head. I think his name was Felberg. And I'm like, I'd love to see Latvia just upset Sweden because these are hungry teams that are playing like Canada used to play. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? These are all teams that are heading into this tournament expecting to win the tournament. So Canada's not the only team out there expected to win. They're all trying. Now, of the four teams left, do you feel the United States probably has the best chance of coming out gold?
Well, U.S. or Sweden are the two teams. I mean, Czechia you can never count out because they're just a pain. But no, I think U.S. or Sweden, and I watched the Sweden game. They fired a lot of pucks on the net. To me, I'm going to give the edge to Sweden. I mean, I just think that they're a good team, and we'll see. I mean, it's a toss up, right? But it's disappointing for Canadians, and it's unfortunate. I've talked to so many people that said, you know what, I didn't even watch them because I just knew. It wasn't the excitement. It wasn't the
Yeah.
Canada. I don't
You
know if
know
you
what?
felt
For
the
my
same way,
friend
but
Peter, I hope that Czechia comes out and just takes it to the States. I really do.
so
I
do
would
I.
love to see those American kids. They're a little bit cocky during that game.
Yeah,
I
were they
mean,
ever?
granted, they probably deserve to be. We
Yeah.
didn't play them too well, but I would love Czechia to win that tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They were a little bit cocky, but it's Canada, and Canada's been cocky in the past, so they're getting a little bit of taste of their own medicine. So uh, we'll see. It's Canada's got some soul searching to do and to figure out how they got to do things differently, I think. And it's a wake up call again when you're ousted 2 years in a row like that. I just think they go in too confident, and too many teams are getting better and better out there. The playing fields become, before Canada would play a team and it'd be 10-1, 10-0, and that was just a given the first couple of rounds. Now they're getting it handed to them. And so I think they've got to adjust, and they need to adjust, and they didn't adjust this year.
You're right. You're right. You know what? Like Gavin McKenna said, there's always next year.
I know, but I saw an interview before the final game, and how you guys feeling? Oh, it's just another game. We're going in another game, and it bothered me. I thought, you know what, you guys should be saying, you know what, we've not been good enough, and we need to be better, and we realize that, and we're going to come out and give it our, you know. But no, you just it was nonchalant. Maybe that's what they're told to do, but no, no. How you're approaching tonight's game. It's do or die. It's another game. We got to go out, stick to our system, do our thing, put pucks to the net, blah blah blah. No, they should have been out saying, you know what, we're not happy with how we've played. This is unacceptable, and we need to up our game, and we're going to be doing it tonight. I didn't get that.
No, 100%. And that comes from the start of the management,
Coaching, coaching, coaching. There you
their
go.
management, their coaching straight down.
You
I
got it.
I fully agree with you. I as well watch this tournament.
You know how many people I talked to that said I watched the Leaf game because they were playing better than the Canadian. I'd never hear that. Usually I hear, oh, we watched the juniors. It's way better, more exciting. This year, I can't count how many people said I watched the Leaf game because they were better to watch than the juniors. Wow.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Dumb
great.
scheduling, by the way, putting the Leafs and the juniors on the same night every game, but that's whatever.
Yeah. You know what? We're back up on Whistle Radio coming up soon. Spirit Hockey coming back. It seems like it's been months and
Wow.
months since we done that.
Nice break. We got a lot to catch up on. I think it's January 9th is our next home game, a rematch against the Halliburton Huskies, who've had our number this year. They're just a really, really good team. So maybe the home ice advantage will give us a boost, and maybe the break will help as well.
It's definitely going to be a tough one, and TJ Hill's going to have his team ready and prepared to face the Halliburton team, who are sitting third overall in the East Division in the OJHL. I do want to mention that I'm going to be at that game, and it's a 3:30 p.m. start at the Stouffville Arena. And you know what? I'm going to be reaching for one of those flyers with the rosters on it, because in OJHL you just never know who's actually in the lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There's a lot of changes, a lot of kids coming and going.
That's right. All right, Joe. I think we've exhausted all our stuff here this week. We're back. Our editor is back, so our fancy boxes are all going to be nicely back. And thank you, Sean. I'm happy that you had a good vacation and you're back to do the work of Ken's Corner. I really appreciate it. My name's Ken, and this is Joe Moyer. We're here on Sports Timeout on Ken's Corner.